Welcome back to College Hill Farm. Well, this morning I'm here in the tractor shed. It's about 75 degrees out, 90% relative humidity. I'm hoping that the hurricane that came by, that came up through the Gulf, is going to come by us and bring some water. Of course, it's never a hurricane when it gets to us here in Kentucky. It's just rain, okay? Generally, it's a line of thunderstorms, and sometimes it's a tornado. But I don't think it'll be that by the time it gets here. We've been in a drought now. According to my rain gauge, in the month of June, I only got 3/4 of an inch of rain. My little garden is taking the brunt of that. So right now, I have to pay attention to stuff, because now I don't water. I don't water. If your plants get used to you watering, they expect it, and they will not thrive unless you do. But I have never watered. That's living here in Kentucky. Generally in June we get about 5 inches of rain. An inch a week is all your plants need to be successful and to thrive. This June we got 3/4 of an inch of rain for the whole month instead of 5 inches. July we generally get about 4 inches of rain. I hope we don't get it all at once. You know, I'd like to get an inch, and in a week get about another inch, and like that. That works out so much better. But this video today is about things that homesteaders should know before they try and get into this lifestyle. Okay? There are some things that you think that you can go out and just plant a garden and you're self-sustainable. Well, that's not it. It doesn't work that way. For example, let's start off with money. Everything has to start with money. If you're 21, it's money. If you're 35, it's money. If you're 60, it's money. Okay, you've got to figure out that homesteading is expensive. And you say, well, you know, I spend this much on food and that much on food. Two people can probably get by on a couple of $100 a month if they were frugal. I'm sure that as far as food goes, me and Crystal could get by on a couple of $100 a month. But we wouldn't eat nearly as good. There'd be a lot of pasta, a lot of rice and beans, okay? So that would be one of the things. It is expensive to put in your infrastructure. I don't care what it is. You still have to have outdoor buildings. You have to have a house. You have to have the property. You have to develop your fields. All that's expensive. If you're doing hugelkultur, you have to figure out how to get a piled up bunch of stuff with dirt over it. We had to have a tractor. Okay, I've got a tractor. We're here in the tractor shed. I'm building a tractor shed. I've started building a greenhouse. I built a workshop. One of the first things, I built some storage buildings. So that's what has to happen. And all that takes time and money. Money, 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 money. Okay, don't think that you can come and start homesteading and quit your day job. It can't happen. Now, I've been doing this for 50 years. Well, give or take. 50 years is about right. And I've been doing it on my own for over 40. And let me tell you, even an established homestead that's already got all of its infrastructure is still expensive. Animals, most people can't grow all the feed their animals need. Okay? You can't. You can't grow all the feed your animals need. Now, animals eat grass. If you've got a great big pasture, you can probably do that, but you're going to have hay equipment, all right, to harvest hay. So, chickens, you're going to have to grow corn. You could grow corn and maybe some beans and things like that, and take care of chickens. But financially, you got to have fences. There's so much infrastructure and so much capital outlay at the beginning. Even after you get that, you have to maintain it all. Okay, so there's a lot of expense. Before you get into homestead, understand that there's a lot of upfront expense. Number 2, almost every activity on your homestead will require a blood sacrifice. I know that sounds dramatic, but it's the truth. I get cut up and banged and case in point, I bought a generator. 4,800 watt generator, or 4,500 watt generator, dual fuel. It would run gas or propane. And I went to pick it up and I pulled this shoulder out. Gone. I couldn't pick up anything. Wound up having to have surgery on this shoulder. $3,000 out of my pocket. Okay? Because I've got a $3,000 maximum out of pocket on my health insurance. Boom. One little injury, $3,000, and I was unable to progress for a year on the homestead. A whole year. Alright? And that's not the only blood. You're going to come out, you're going to have chickens, and you're going to come out and discover that everything in the wild wants to eat them. They are delicious. I know you want to eat them, and everything else does too. You're going to come out and find out that a mink has got into your chicken coop, or a weasel, and has cut off the heads of 5 or 6 of your chickens and just left them laying. Because that's what they do. A possum comes in, eats the crop, cuts their heads off, eats down in there, dead chicken. And then you find the chickens that just died because that's what they did. Or you get sheep. You've got these nice little sheep, you went and bought them at the auction, and you bring them home and they look all fine and healthy and they're wonderful, and you come out the next morning and 2 out of 5 are dead. For no reason. You don't know why. Okay? And you can't afford to send them to the vet for a necropsy. You can't afford that. You know, vet bills are expensive. That's another one of those expenses that you can't plan for. Okay? That stuff is expensive. Making sure I'm not being eaten up by ants. So, regardless what happens, there's going to be blood. And then there's going to be that blood that you've got this lamb that you banded, and you raised him up till he's about 75 pounds. And now it's time to put him in the freezer. Well, in order to save some money, you have to do it yourself. Because if you take him down to the processor, it's $150. Okay, that 75-pound lamb's going to give you about 45 pounds of meat, or 40, and it's going to cost you $75. But if you do it, it doesn't cost that. You've only got the cost of what you had in the lamb and any feed that you put into the lamb. Okay? So, there's going to be blood. No matter what you do on your homestead, in order to become more and more sustainable, there's going to be blood. Number 3. There is going to be never enough time to get everything done that you need to get done. Never enough time to get everything done that you need to be done. Now, I'm retired, so I can be on the homestead all day, but the truth is, when it gets too hot, I can't. So I don't ever have enough time to get stuff in the garden taken care of, taking care of everything around the property. Just mowing 9 acres is 6 hours every other week. Okay? At least 3 hours a week of seat time I have to put in mowing. I would like to get a 0-turn mower, but I don't have the money. Okay? And that's the way that goes. I don't have the money. I can't afford it. But I've got a bush hog, so I mow grass with a bush hog. Alright? Even my house grass, I mow it with a bush hog. So, yeah. I don't know why we grow lawn. I probably shouldn't be growing lawn, but the truth is, Crystal likes a pretty lawn. My lawn looks pretty bad right now. The drought is kind of putting it to it. Anyway, a lawn. Yeah. Time. I don't have enough time. I can't get to everything. The weeds are overtaking my garden. The tractor shed needs me to finish closing in the walls. I need to put the doors on I need to put the rest of the windows up on the greenhouse. I need to do this. I need to do that. I've got 700 things, and I haven't had a fishing trip this year. I love to fish. I love to go to catfish. That's one of my favorite activities. It's a late night activity out of the heat. But I've been so busy that I'm so tired by the end of the day there ain't no catfishing happening. Okay? No catfishing happening. So, yeah, not even enough time to fish. That is a shame. But that's the way it is homesteading. Somebody said one time, take a day off. Now, me, I always make Sunday a day of rest. I don't care what else is going on. I am not working on the homestead on Sunday. That's just a day of rest for me, and I do not do that on Sunday. But every other day, if I'm able, I'm out doing stuff on the homestead. Or doing something in the house. There are plenty of things in this 100-year-old farmhouse that I still have not got to that I need to get to. And my list is longer. At one time, I tried to write down a list. I had a list, and I put it on a magnet on the refrigerator. And just to be honest, the list got so long without stuff getting checked off. I would check one off and put 3 on. So there's always more to do than you can get done homesteading. Number 4, the hardest of all of the 5 things. You've got these sheep, or goats, or cattle, or chickens, or ducks, or geese, or whatever. And you're trying to have them to have the best life that they can possibly have. Okay? You want their life to be good. You don't want it to be bad. And you get to where you pet them. You pet them and you're good to them and they love on you and they come to you when you've got a bucket. Goes for pigs or whatever. And you're taking good care of your animals. You're a conscientious homesteader that doesn't raise your pigs in a 16 by 16 pen like your grandfather did. Where they never see the light of day. You know, you don't do it that way. You're conscientious about making sure that your animals have the best life possible. Then, turns around, and you have to put them in freezer camp. Okay? It's especially hard on kids that grow up this lifestyle. Now, me, as a kid, I learned early on that even though I could pet the pigs, or I could pet the goats, or I could pet the whatever it was, the rabbits, they were food. Okay? And we were going to eat them. And some people say you should never name them. We named them. You know, we named them. It's just something we did. A lot of times we didn't name the pigs because they were just kind of out of sight, out of mind. And as a small kid, I wasn't allowed to go out there by myself. I could only go out there when Pa was out there, or Dad, or somebody else was out at the pig pen. I couldn't go out there by myself. But as far as the rabbits, I loved petting the rabbits, getting the rabbits out. You know, I don't know how many of the rabbits I ate that I already had named. All right? If you cannot eat your friends, then you're not able to be a successful homesteader. Let me say that again. If you're not able to eat your friends, and I'm not talking about humans and cannibalism, but if you're not able to eat your friends, the animals on your property, then you're not homesteading. You have an animal sanctuary. Okay? That's what you have. If you're not prepared to eat them. When I was a kid, we raised chickens, and we had 3 houses. One for, or 4 houses. One for chicks that were growing up till they got to be about 6 months old. Then they got moved to another house where they went from 6 months to about a year. And then they moved to another house then, once they got a year old, moved to another house, and they stayed there till they were 2. And then when they were 2, they moved to another house, and they stayed there for about 6 months until they quit laying. Generally at about 2.5, chickens stop laying, pretty much. They slow down. And at that point, they go to freezer camp as hens, okay, as bacon hens. They go to freezer camp. When you got those baby chicks that you're raising up to 6 months old, at 6 months old, the little cockerels, the little roosters, you can put them in the freezer as fryers. And then the rest of your hens come over. You might keep one rooster. We always like to have one rooster in each pen. So, yeah, we did that. But all the chickens were for eggs and for eating. All of them. None of them escaped that fate. Okay? That was just the way it is. When you've got sheep or goats, there's not enough room on your homestead for all the little rams. It's a 50-50 shot, whether you get ewes or rams. Well, if you've got 10 rams, you can't sell them all. Alright? You can sell a couple, but you can't sell them all. So you just as well to band most of them and plan to put them in freezer camp at about 30 pounds of meat apiece. Okay? You love them, but you can't love them enough that you can't eat them. And attachment is one of the toughest things that homesteaders have to deal with. Finally, number 5. Probably the toughest thing you have to deal with as a homesteader is failure. If you're one of those people that doesn't like to fail at stuff, then homesteading's not for you. I'm going to say it right up front. Homesteading is not for you. Now, I have a lot of shortcomings, and I understand my shortcomings, and I try to do things to work around them. I have health issues. That is a shortcoming. Sometimes I think I have attention deficit disorder. That's a shortcoming. I do things, and I get tired of them, and I move to something else before I finish what I was doing. Okay? But out-and-out failure is a hard thing for me to deal with, and always was. But at homesteading, your chances of failure are almost 75% every time you do something that you've never done before. So, this lifestyle, for example, let's say you were going to start this lifestyle to be self-sufficient, but you were going to wait till there was some kind of calamity or disaster or something along those lines, and you were going to take and modify and do this lifestyle then. By the time you figured out all the mistakes, you'd probably be dead. 50 years I've been doing this, ever since I was 8 years old. I'm 61, but I say 50 years because at 8, you're not responsible for nothing. Okay? You're responsible to take the garbage out and do some stuff around the house and work in the garden when mom and dad tells you to, but you're not responsible for nothing. So, working like that, about 50 years, me. Since I was about 11, I've been responsible for a lot of things. Responsible for feeding the rabbits, responsible for feeding the chickens, you know, responsible. Gather the eggs. Those are all things that I was responsible for, and I failed at some of them. And sometimes failure was a spanking, and sometimes failure was a laugh. Okay, and try again. But as a homesteader, if you're not prepared to fail, if you're not one of those people that takes failure to heart, it'll destroy you. Because about 75% of the new things you try is going to fail. And about 25% is going to be a success. Next year, you'll be better at it. The next year, you'll be even better. And by the 10th year, you'll be an expert. Alright? So, you're going to fail at stuff. And people who can't take failure can't be homesteaders. That's just a fact of life. It's very, very demanding lifestyle. Like I said, my health is not perfect. Okay? And my lifestyle is just what it is. We've lived like this ever since I can remember. I call it living Appalachian. It's a homestead lifestyle today is what we call it. But it's living Appalachian. You raise most of what you eat. You have animals. You have pets. You live a good life. It's a slow life. Away from the rat race of the world. You know, the rat race will kill you. Trust me, I know. The rat race will kill you. My MS during stress was 10 times worse than it is here at the homestead. So, those are the 5 things that you should be aware of before you start homesteading. Now, if you like this stuff, this homesteading stuff, this do-it-yourself kind of thing, be certain to come on out to the channel and subscribe. We do this homesteading stuff every week, sometimes 1, sometimes 5 videos. Just depends on what's going on in the homestead that week. Now, if you hit the little bell, it'll be right up here when you come to the channel. It'll notify you when we upload a video. We upload on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. And every now and then, we do a short on Saturday. So now, time for me to get on to the next thing.